What's going on, everyone? Alex Cuesta here, and I am bringing you a sports opinions podcast special going on. So what I did, I'm calling it the NFL Divisional Fan Series. I grabbed 32 fans, yes, 32, one from each of the NFL teams, tried to keep away from getting some, sports writers and stuff. Some of them were mixed in there because they are fans as well. But overall, it's 32 fans, and I wanted to get their opinions about their team's free agency, their draft, and what they're looking forward to this year. And to bring it to you, starting off with the NFC West, that's the 49ers, Cardinals, Rams, and Seahawks. I get the opinions from 4 different fans there, and I think it came out pretty cool so far. I hope to bring you each division as it comes as a package, so look for 8 of these. And I hope everyone enjoys it. So without any further ado, enjoy. Kicking off the NFL Divisional Fan Series and starting with the NFC West, we have a team that is on the rise, the Arizona Cardinals. So with me right now, representing the Arizona Cardinals fan base, Michael Martenson. What's going on, Michael?
Yes, sir. What's up, guys?
So, Michael, I'm trying to get this through. I've said it on every segment, but this is for the fans, by the fans. You aren't a sports writer, sportscaster, TV, radio, anything like that, are you?
I'm not, no.
All right. So would you consider yourself an average fan?
I feel like I know a little bit more than an average fan, but I'm not diehard.
Got it.
You know.
So what do you do for your daily life? What is your profession if you have one?
High school student usually. I work at Subway 9 to 5, that type of stuff.
There you go. So we have all different types. You have on, older people, younger people, because we are all fans here. So first, what we're going to do, we're going to talk first Cardinals, free agency. The draft just happened. We're going to kind of forget that exists for the moment. First, your losses. David Johnson goes, a longtime running back, injury issues. Damari Bird is gone. Farrell Cooper, who played a big part last year, is gone. Charles Clay. Joe Walker, you lost all those guys, but your additions definitely trump them. For whatever reason, in Arizona, robbery is legal, with you guys getting the trade of DeAndre Hopkins, just bamboozling the Texans for that. He's a massive pickup. And then you guys did a lot of work re-signing people. You brought back Kenyon Drake on a tender. Larry Fitzgerald comes back again. Marcus Gilchrist comes back. So you guys did a lot of good work keeping your own talent there along with DeAndre Hopkins. How do you feel about free agency? Obviously, I think you are ecstatic right now.
As of now, I'm really ecstatic. I think we made some good moves. As a Cardinals fan, there's always a year where we let go of someone and he goes to another team and gets better, as a Tyrann Mathieu, Calais Campbell. This year, there weren't many free agents that really impacted with us losing. I think we really improved over the offseason more than lost, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, that's really good. Whenever you can do that, that's definitely a big factor that is going to be helpful for the rest of the year. So we are going to jump into the draft. You guys arguably got the most complete and athletic player in the draft with your first-round pick in Isaiah Simmons. We'll talk about the other guys, but first, talk about picking Isaiah Simmons. Did you think he would be there for you guys at 8th, the linebacker out of Clemson?
I'm going to be completely honest. I've been talking to my other Arizona Cardinals fans, and we all wanted Isaiah Simmons, but we never really thought that much that it could be a reality. Luckily, it did happen, though, and of course, as a Cardinals fan, I was freaking out. I really was surprised when the Panthers took Derek Brown. And don't get me wrong, Derek Brown's a heck of a player. That guy, he's going to be good in the league, but Isaiah Simmons is just a physical specimen that is so hard to pass up on, and I'm really glad Steve Keim did not blow that pick and he took Isaiah Simmons there.
Yeah, that is a definite solid move for them there. Now, we're going to talk about your other draft picks. Third round draft pick, number 72, Josh Jones, tackle out of Houston. He's a guy you're going to have to get familiar with because for me, your rounds 1, 2, and 3 are the guys that are going to make the team. You didn't have a second round pick. Josh Jones definitely gives you help on the line protecting Kyler Murray. How do you feel about that pick out of Houston, Josh Jones?
When I was looking at the draft board and the best players available, I saw Josh Jones. I thought that'd be a good pick, and sure enough, he looked good by the Cardinals. He fell a little bit, which I'm not completely sure why. He played really good in college for Houston at offensive tackle, and Marcus Gilbert come back for 1 year. He's been very injury prone, and for him to last 16 games is pretty rare at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if John flies in there that right tackle spot, or even just can be a successor for one of those guys and just start for the next couple of years. I'm really happy about the pick. I think he's a great player, and definitely got really good value right there.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the day 3 guys in the draft because these are the guys that are going to have to kick and scratch a little bit, show out in rookie training camp to make the team. You had 2 4th-round picks. You had Leki Fotu, defensive tackle of Utah, and then you went with another D tackle, Rashard Lawrence from LSU. In the 6th round, you had Evan Weaver, linebacker from California. And in the 7th round, you went Eno Benjamin, running back from Arizona State. Out of those 4 names, give me one guy that you think has a good chance of making the team.
In my opinion, I don't see Eno making it because mostly the Cardinals are really high on DJ Foster, and but he's injured a lot, so we'll see about that. But my personal favorite pick was in the 6th round, Evan Weaver. He was the college leading tackler in the division he was in, and I didn't see much of his highlights, but I've heard really good things about him. And our inside linebacker core, assuming Isaiah Simmons doesn't play inside, which he did in college, it's a little weak. We have Jordan Hicks, but if we go with 2 minute linebackers this year, then we could possibly make a jump up there. We got lots of free agents next year at linebacker spot, and just looking at his highlights, this man can tackle anyone, and the amount of missed tackles he had were just barely any, 0 to none. This guy's a beast, and I think he was a huge steal in the 6th round.
Yeah, it's always good when you can grab those. So overall, I feel like you were pretty happy with the draft. So we're going to jump into the schedule here. Outside of your divisional games, Seahawks, Rams, Niners, they are always games that you have to focus on. So outside of those games, at home, you guys are playing the Redskins, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions. Away, you guys are playing the Cowboys, Giants, Jets, Patriots, Panthers. Give me a game that pops out at you that you're really looking forward to seeing and why.
Personally, I'd like to get revenge on the Panthers from the 2015 NFL Divisional or the Conference Championship round, just because it pained me to see that game and watch that blowout unfold. But the Panthers, all jokes aside, the Panthers are a really nice team. They obviously got Derek Brown. It'd be fun to see if they got their pick wrong or if they should have taken Isaiah Simmons. They also cut Cam Newton and traded Kyle Allen, and they also have Phillip Walker. We don't know if he'll start or if they'll have Teddy Bridgewater start. They have a pretty new team this year, and it'll be interesting to see how they play against the Cardinals. Personally, I think the Cardinals are better. That's a little biased, though. But, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting and they also got Robbie Anderson, receiver from the Jets, and he got a lot of money. He's very, very productive, and it's going to be interesting to see if maybe Byron Murphy or Patrick Peterson, one of those guys, can hold up against him, because they have a really good receiving core. So on offense and on defense for the Cardinals, it'll be fun.
All right, so before we close on out here, I'm putting you on the spot. What are you seeing is your record this year?
I mean, every year for the Cardinals, I'm always optimistic. Usually doesn't get there. The second-year coach, Cliff Kingsbury, and young QB, Kyler Murray. But we do have DeAndre Hopkins, and like I said, all the other moves that we made. Kenyon Drake coming off, if you want to call it, his breakout year. I feel like we could be anywhere from 10-6 to 8-8. But in this division, personally, I'd say probably 9-7.
9-7. All right. It's always tough when you're asking fans to be realistic about their own team. It's never easy. Everyone wants to be like, yeah, 14-2, but we all know that's not the reality. But
Right.
Again, Michael Martenson, Arizona Cardinals fan, thank you so much for coming on.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely, really appreciate it. Have a good night. I appreciate you coming on. So long. Up next is the Super Bowl runner-up team that is hoping to rekindle that magic this year and finish the job is the San Francisco 49ers. And with me now is my cousin, actually, to continue our fan series here. He is my 49ers representative, Dan Portuese. What's going on, man?
What's going on? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Now, you aren't a sports aficionado writer. Like, you don't do, just to clarify for everyone, because I want people to know that this is fans. I'll have some writers on to fill in some spots where I struggle to get fans, but you don't do sports radio, TV, writing, anything like that, right?
No, only in my dreams.
So what is your 9-to-5 occupation?
I am an attorney, primarily real estate law, and sometimes I am also a part-time babysitter for my kids. That's pretty much what I do.
All?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you consider yourself kind of the average fan. You're a lifelong fan of the Niners, but you are just the average fan, I guess.
Correct. Very good beginning. Not so great middle, and so far we've been doing better last years.
Yes, you have. So we're going to start off first with free agency. The draft obviously just occurred, but I want to kind of forget about the draft for a little and just talk about their free agency before the draft.
Sure.
So their losses that they had, their big losses, Manuel Sanders was kind of a blanket for Garoppolo there. He loved him. Marquise Goodwin didn't play much last year, but he was a good burner for a while. DeForest Buckner, massive on that defensive line. And you lost Garrett Selleck and Levine Tololo, but you might have the best tight end in the game, so those are okay with losing. You brought in Travis Benjamin, who kind of makes up for the Marquise Goodwin loss. And then you guys did a bunch of re-signings. Eric Armstead on the defensive line, Ben Garland center, Jimmy Ward safety. So you really didn't do much in terms of free agency, bringing people in, but you really didn't lose much that would really affect, besides maybe Buckner and Sanders. How did you feel about the free agency for the Niners this year?
Well, I think Buckner is a big loss, but and I'm sure we'll talk about it in a minute. Some of the draft picks they made, but yeah. Buckner's a huge loss because Buckner takes pressure off of the other guys on that line, and when you have a guy in the middle that can stop the run and can play different positions on the line, and also put pressure on the quarterback, obviously, that's a huge asset. So. When they lost him, we knew they were going to have to make a cut to keep Armstead around. And I think they made the right decision between the two guys. You get a younger guy, you get a guy who's a little less expensive. Obviously, that plays into it. Mm-hmm. And then they were able to retain some of their other talent, like Ward. So overall, that was the biggest loss. Sanders, we knew was a rental and most likely would not be a Niner. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, didn't have quite the production I expected, even though he ended up being a blanket. There were some games where he just disappeared. Yeah. And that's more of a product, I think, of their offense and the uniqueness of using almost every player to try to, drum up some offense that Shanahan uses in his offensive schemes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. The one the pickups you mentioned, I mean, I'm a Florida State guy. Obviously, yeah. I'm an alum. So, picking up Travis Benjamin was an interesting one because a lot of people have written him off, and I think there's some talent still left there. I think he had some injury issues, which caused some of that slowdown, I think. And it'll be interesting to see how they use him because he can become a big playmaker for them. And obviously having Deebo Samuel already in there, I don't think he'll be their number 2. Obviously with Brandon Ayuk coming in, I think he'll end up being their number 2. But we'll see. We'll see. They have some talent. And Goodwin is a heck of a personality. A lot of good stuff came from him over the years, but he, unfortunately, because of his injuries, he's done a lot of cheerleading. And there were periods where he completely disappeared, even when he was getting some time on the field. He is a burner, but that's not their offense anymore. So it's a little different than when they didn't have a quarterback like Garoppolo who likes to dip and dunk a little bit, than when they were trying to throw Hail Marys all the time because they were down by 20 touchdowns.
Definitely not. Fun fact for anyone that listens to the show regularly, the guy that you're hearing right now is the reason why I'm a Florida State fan. Danny's 8 years older than me, which is ridiculous to think. I don't feel like you're 8 years older than me, Danny, but
I look 8 years older than you, trust me.
No, you are a beautiful man. But he's 8 years older than me, so he was going into school, college, obviously long before I was even thinking about it. And when he chose Florida State, I was still on the cusp of my collegiate fandom, and I just grabbed onto it. So he's the reason why I'm Florida State faithful, and I'm kind of tortured now. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm responsible for maybe a national championship and probably the next 5 years of woe. So and it's already been a few. I mean, I just don't. The draft is a perfect example of where your college football team stands. And for years, Florida State, 3-4 people in the top, the first round. Now you couldn't find a guy. Cam Akers, you had to squint to find out where he was because even he fell a little bit. And by the way, probably not one of my highest prospects at a running back position anyway. But yeah, Florida State's hopefully we'll get a new coach in there and maybe we'll see what can happen. But recruiting's king, and it's hard to follow Bobby Bowden and then the other ball coach and who's now recruiting for Texas A&M.
Yeah, we won't talk about him.
Yeah,
we don't like him.
It's real hard to follow that, though. I mean, you're going to lose people, so it's going to be a rough 5 to 10 years, I think.
Definitely. Now you mentioned the draft, so we're going to jump right into the draft.
Sure.
So the Niners only had 5 picks, but I feel like they used their picks, especially their top 2, pretty effectively. So they had 2 in the first round. At 14, they get Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle, South Carolina. 25, they get Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver, Arizona State. And then they had picks in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. 5th round pick was Colton McKivitz, was a tackle out of West Virginia. Yeah. Charlie Werner, tight end of Georgia, and Jawan Jennings, wide receiver, Tennessee. Obviously, the last 3, maybe the 5th round guy will make it, but the other 2 are going to fight for roster spots. Does Kinlaw fill Buckner's spot? And what you mentioned, Ayuk, how do you feel about those 2 top guys?
Well, I think Kinlaw was an interesting pick because, and we were even texting back and forth during the draft. I feel like there were so many wide receivers. The Niners probably wanted Ruggs. I'm going to guess they wanted Ruggs.
I think a lot of teams did.
Yeah, and once Ruggs went, I think they made a decision that, and the 49ers draft was more like the 49ers coordination for their season. It wasn't really just a draft for them. They obviously the Trent Williams move was probably telegraphed a little bit, and they did a tremendous job working with Joe Staley to keep him from opening his mouth and saying that he was retiring because everybody and their mother knew it. Yeah. But they kept that under wraps. And once I saw that they passed on Wirfs, they didn't obviously have the opportunity to get Becton, I thought they were probably at that point going to go after either a second tier receiver, like a number 2 receiver, maybe Jerry Jeudy, maybe one of the other guys on the board, Lamb. But hey, Kinlaw, big pickup because I wasn't even thinking about how impactful he will be right away. He'll fill in for Buckner. I don't know if he's going to be as good as Buckner right away, but he's a presence in the middle too, and I think it's almost necessary to keep Bosa and Dee Ford freed up by getting those guys in the middle that can really push and create some havoc so that they can be on one-on-one matchups instead of getting double teamed every time.
Yeah, so, I didn't even mention Trent Williams quickly. How do you feel about that trade?
I first of all, I don't know if there is a better tackle right now than him.
How about his attitude and the way he wanted out, though? Does that concern you that if things start to go low,
No, not so much because, here's why. That you got some leaders on this team in the Niners. A lot of people said that Sherman was a problem. I never thought so, even though I was a Niners fan. Obviously, I hated Seattle, and I hated him for a long time just because he was on Seattle. But, I mean, guys like that are going to keep the locker room in check. This is a really positive locker room. And the bottom line is if he becomes a problem, he'll only be a problem for himself. Getting into a contract extension, I know they were talking about that a little bit today. If they don't extend him, I don't think that matters too much either because I think their feeling is that they have a championship window right now and they have to keep everyone, in the positions. They got to have the same talent at the same positions that they did last year. And I actually think this is an upgrade over the Joe Staley that we had last year, because he missed a good amount of time, not his fault necessarily, right, but injuries. And he just wasn't performing at the same level, even though they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think Williams is going to definitely give Garoppolo plenty of time. I think he fits their run scheme. And I think that he's just a tremendous body to have on that line. So he's expensive. He's going to cost them something next year if they can't figure something out with an extension. But I think he'll be tremendous for them.
That's really good. Now, you touched on Brandon Ayuk. He's expected to be a number 2 guy. You talked about Kinlaw. I think the other 3 is kind of yet to be seen. Let's see what training camp does. Let's see what rookie mini camp does with them. Let's jump into the schedule now. What your outlook is for next year. They haven't officially confirmed all the slots with the schedule, but you have every team that you're playing. Yeah. Outside of the divisional games, those are always massive. At home, you guys have the Skins, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Packers, and away, you have Cowboys, Giants, Jets, Patriots, Saints. I'm actually interested in seeing kind of the Cowboys' high-powered offense now with the, you guys went to the Super Bowl, maybe a rekindling of the rivalry there. What is, out of those games that I mentioned, what are you most interested in, and what's your season outlook this year? Are you expecting a Super Bowl this year? Is it kind of Super Bowl or bust for the fandom?
I don't think the 49ers fans are ever, they call us the faithful for a reason. We hang in there. I think it would be disappointing not to make another Super Bowl appearance, and probably would be a step back. It would really depend on the actual individual performances from some of our, like if Garoppolo took a step back, or if we saw that maybe our defensive line was a 1-year thing, and maybe some of these guys aren't built for multiple years, and the toll that the season takes on your body and keeping up. And if we start to see that sort of stuff and then have a first or second round exit in the playoffs, that's a problem, because now your window's not only closing, but it's probably shut, right? Yeah. It's hard to win in the NFL, or the Niners would have won more Super Bowls since the last time they did.
Exactly.
Right? I don't have to tell a Jets fan that.
What's a Super Bowl?
Yeah, the AFC maybe. So the bottom line is, I think that the biggest matchup on their schedule is always going to be their divisional games. I think Seattle still is one of the most important, 2 of the most important games. They have to win those games. They have to keep the Rams at bay. The Cardinals are going to be looking to knock them off this year. If they can go 5-1 in those divisional games, that's important. And then they have to pick off the Saints or the Cowboys, some of those other games. The Saints game is going to be huge because it was just such a damn entertaining game last year.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to see that again? Except for I want to see the same result. AFC, they're getting the best teams from both sides because of where they stand. They're going to get the number ones in all the different divisions. And I don't think there's a lot of right now. I don't see the league flipping upside down or anything crazy like happened last year. I think there's going to be a lot of consistency with who's good, except for I think the Packers are going to take a huge hit. But those are the games. I think I think you're right about the Cowboys. I would love to see a rivalry start up again there. I love the fact that they went after some flashier players like usual, but these guys have some talent this time. So I'll be curious to see how their offense is. But yeah, those are the games. I think the Saints and the Cowboys, those are the games I'm excited to see.
So, just looking at the schedule, thinking about it, I'm putting you on the spot right now. Before we end this, what's your record next year?
I think they're going to probably be 12-4, 13-3 again. I think if they go any less than that, it's really dangerous, because then they're going to be looking at losing the division probably to Seattle. I think the NFC West is going to be strong again. I think Seattle it's going to be the Seattle Seahawks and the Niners, but don't be surprised if the Cardinals start to come up a little bit and give everybody a hard time. So there could be more parity in that division. And if there is, 11-5 could win it, but I wouldn't bank on it. I think they need to get to 12-4, 13-3 in order to really get this thing done.
Perfect. Danny, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on, my man.
No problem. I appreciate it. Thanks, Alex. Good luck and great success in everything you're doing.
Awesome. Have a good one, bud.
You too, man.
Continuing in the NFC West, the Los Angeles Rams, a team that is looking to pick themselves back up. And with me now, representing the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, that is, everyone, is Joe Penic. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, man?
So, I have to ask you, how long have you been a Rams fan?
About as long as I can remember, man. It dates back to, early Mark Bulger days, as far as back as I can remember.
The fact that you pulled out the name Mark Bulger just proves that you're an actual fan. So just to, let everyone know, this is a fan series. It's for the fans. It's by the fans. I have a few writers jumping in with certain teams that it was difficult to grab fans, but overall it's mostly fans. You don't sports write. You don't work for TV. You don't do any radio or anything like that, right?
No.
So what is your day-to-day occupation?
I'm a college student, and I work part-time at a fan merchandise store. It's called Game Day Sports. It's a small family-owned operation.
That's pretty awesome. I feel like I would not be able to work there because I would just buy all the cool-looking stuff. It didn't have to be my favorite teams. I would just buy cool-looking stuff for fun.
It is a very cool job. You get to talk with other fans. We get new jerseys of new players. It's a cool job. It is. I do enjoy it a lot.
That's lots of fun. So let's jump right into it with the Rams. So I feel like last year the Rams are one of my most disappointing teams, unfortunately, because they had such promise.
Right.
They lost a good amount of players coming into this year, but I think it was kind of necessary for a rebuild-ish or kind of retooling to kind of get back what they had. Some of the big guys they lost Brandon Cooks, Dante Fowler Jr., Corey Littleton left, Eric Weddle retired, Roby Coleman is gone in the secondary, longtime kicker Greg Zerloin, and Blake Bortles a backup, which I can never underestimate the value of a decent backup. But you guys did do some work bringing some guys in. You were able to keep Brockers after the deal went through with the Ravens. You were able to grab Leonard Floyd on a one-year deal. Sean Robertson in the middle of the defense there. Andrew Whitworth, offensive lineman. Austin Blythe, offensive lineman. So you kind of retooled that way. How do you feel about free agency? Kind of block out what they did in the draft for now. I just want to talk about free agency.
Right.
Were you kind of disappointed coming off of free agency, or were you okay with where they were going into the draft?
I was actually very pleasantly happy with what they did. I mean, obviously the Rams cap space is very, very tight, and just the fact that Todd Gurley and Brandon Cooks are gone now, there's a good amount of dead money there. I think most Rams fans at least knew, we weren't going to go out and sign any big-name players. I think getting Leonard Floyd, that really does bolster that position.
Yes.
The fact that we're able to keep Michael Brockers, I think is huge. He's been a great run stuffer for us ever since he was drafted in 2012. His last remaining guy from that RG3 trade, interesting enough.
Wow. And he signed a 3-year deal, so it's nice to kind of lock him back up.
I know Aaron Donald certainly is happy about that. That's for sure.
Yes.
And, of course, looking at the offensive line especially, Andrew Whitworth, of course, he's getting up there in age. He's 38 years old right now. He's still the anchor. He's still protecting Jared Goff's blind spot, and we just see his impact on and, of course, off the field, too. He's leader in the locker room and being able to retain him, of course, along with Austin Blythe. Austin Blythe, yes.
Yep, 1-year deal.
Yes. And, of course, we see Jared Goff. He's one of those quarterbacks who, if he has time, he's as good as, maybe not anybody in the league, but clearly the importance of that offensive line in the pass game and in the run game, of course, can't be stressed anymore.
2 years ago, his numbers were as good as anybody, so
yes,
you could definitely put that up. So it's nice that you're pleasantly pleased. That's good coming off of the season you guys had last year.
Yeah.
So you looked forward to the draft. Let's talk about the draft real quick. Now, I'm a Florida State guy. So you guys didn't have a first-round pick. So you had 2 second-round picks pretty damn close to each other. You got Cam Akers, who I love from Florida State. I thought he was kind of abused there. So I think you guys are getting a quality guy there. At 57, you grabbed Van Jefferson, who I think was a very underrated wide receiver. And then in the 3rd round, you had 2 picks. You grabbed Terrell Lewis, outside linebacker from Bama. Bama was on national television all the time. We've seen what all these defensive guys can do. They're monsters. At 104, Terrell Burgess, a safety out of Utah. Talk about those four guys first, because I think your third and second round guys are the guys that you need to get to know as a fan.
Right.
Because they're going to be on the team. How do you feel about the first four picks?
Well, of course, the headliner of that's going to be Cam Akers. With Todd Gurley gone, those are very big shoes to fill, of course. We still have guys like Malcolm Brown and Henderson. So a guy like Cam Akers, will he be the featured back? I don't think so. I can see them using him kind of like what Kyle Shanahan and the Niners were doing.
A committee kind of deal? Yeah,
I could see them doing a committee. I don't see anyone being a full featured back. As far as Akers is concerned, because I'll be honest, I didn't watch him too much in college. I'm actually a Georgia Bulldogs fan, so I was kind of hoping through absolutely some miracle they trade up for DeAndre Swift, which I figured that would not happen. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely I think the thing I like about him is his open field spin move. I've noticed watching tape of him. He's very elusive. His open field vision is very good. He's probably going to be very valuable for running screens, which, of course, the Sean McVay offense just absolutely loves screens.
Yes.
His ball security is definitely a little bit of a concern. But the way I see it, I mean, I feel like that's a coachable thing and not a point to where I'd feel uncomfortable with him being a 3-down back.
Tiki Barber was kind of the poster boy for that. Fumble Rooski his first few years. The moment he got a handle on it, he's a Hall of Famer.
Right. So, I mean, I think I was very happy with that pick. I think we all knew within those first four picks a running back would be taken by the Rams.
Yes.
And now looking at Van Jefferson, of course, with the departure or trade rather of Brandon Cooks, we kind of figured the Rams would go after wide receiver. Of course, Josh Reynolds is probably still the favorite to be number 3. We've seen he's capable of being a starter for times. Cooper Kupp was injured, he'd fill in, or times Woods was out for a little bit. But Van Jefferson I like this pick a lot. I mean, drawing comparisons from looking at different things, the funny thing is he is very similar to Cooper Kupp, which I think is actually very funny.
Which is Goff's big safety blanket. Like him and Cooper Kupp have such a great chemistry together.
That's why I think that's such a perfect acquisition right there. I mean, he doesn't have, he's not like a complete burner like Brandon Cooks was, so to speak. But, I mean, his agility is great. I mean, he's one of those receivers who I like to say get in the dirty areas, so to speak. Get, use the middle of the field, get those, tough catches and whatnot. And the thing that I really like about Van Jefferson the most from all the tape I've watched of him is he is a phenomenal route runner. And I think, of course, like I said, it's probably going to be Woods, Kupp, Reynolds, the main 3, but watch out for Van Jefferson. I think he's someone Goff really could rely on down the stretch.
Definitely. Now, they address defense in the 3rd round, but I do want to jump right into the kind of day 3 pick. Some of the guys that, like I mentioned, those top 4 guys, you're going to get to know their names because they're going to make the team. They're going to get a chance. But 4 through 7 kind of has to earn it through rookie mini camp and training camp. So I'm just going to run down the names. Bryson Hopkins, tight end of Purdue. Jordan Fuller, safety, Ohio State. Clay Johnston, linebacker, Baylor. Sam Sloman, kicker out of Miami of Ohio. Tremaine Ankrum, O-lineman from Clemson. Sam Sloman fills a need. You're going to bring the kicker with Zerline, so he's on the team. The other guys that I mentioned, do you know anything about any of those guys? What one name pops out to you there that you might know something about?
The one guy that really intrigues me the most is Bryson Hopkins. Upon doing some research and looking at his tapes, apparently, from what I'm seeing, he's kind of like another Tyler Higbee almost. And I was definitely a little surprised them seeing another tight end being drafted because the Rams tight ends depth is pretty good. I mean, we got Gerald Everett, you got Tyler Higbee. There wasn't a glaring need for a tight end, but you saw kind of near, I guess, 2/3 into the season last year, the Rams offense start to, find its feet again. And that really came along with the surgence of Tyler Higbee. So that's one thing about the Sean McVay offense during the Rams era that I was surprised about is tight ends never really were a main factor in the McVay era with the Rams. When he was with Washington, with Reed and Davis, it certainly was. So a guy like Bryson Hopkins, who, I mean, he's not the biggest athlete in the world, but from what they're saying, he's got above average feel for soft spots in the zone, so to speak. Excuse me. His blocking is a little bit, not really up to par with what we see from some of the starters, but he's definitely a guy who I think is going to have a really good shot at making the team. And who knows? It's going to be interesting to see how him and Goff connect, because I know him and Higbee certainly have a good connection. Let's see if we can see that with Hopkins as well.
That's exciting. Now we're going to jump right to talking about the schedule and kind of the season outlook. Now, obviously, all the in-division games, your Seahawks, your Niners, your Cardinals, those are all important. Let's kind of look at the non-divisional games. At home, you guys will play the Cardinals, Giants, Cowboys, Patriots, Jets, and Bears. And away, you guys are going to face the Skins. Oh, I said the Cardinals, in your division. You're going to face the Skins, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, and Bucks. Out of those games, what game pops out at you?
Believe it or not, I'm really looking at that Bucks game.
Everyone is. If the Bucks are on the schedule,
yes.
Of course.
A funny thing I've noticed about the Buccaneers is it seems like, of course, they're not in the same division. It seems like almost every year the Rams are playing the Buccaneers. I'm not even joking. You look back, and it seemed like the Rams always just had the Buccaneers number until last year, where the Buccaneus hung that 50 burger on the Rams. But of course,
Jameis came in, and I love Jameis Winston, so I apologize.
Oh, good luck to him in New Orleans. I absolutely like Jameis Winston. Hopefully, of course he's going to back up Drew Brees, but hopefully he's got a good future there or somewhere else. But that Buccaneers game, of course, we all know type of facelift that team got with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, so it's going to be a weird game, just seeing those guys leading the Buccaneers. It's going to be a tough game, of course, too, but it's going to be one to look out forward to.
Definitely. So overall, looking at the schedule, thinking about what you guys brought in, what you did, what is your outlook on the season? Are you thinking back to success? Are you thinking maybe one more gel year and then maybe next year make some moves? What are your feelings on the season?
In my complete unbiased opinion, I think it's going to be the latter. I don't see them as necessarily a team that's going to compete for that division, especially with just how rough the NFC West is. And even, it's going to be the Niners, the Seahawks, of course, the solid teams up there. Arizona is certainly much better. I think it's going to be a long road for the Rams. I'm not saying they're going to be, just a team to just easily walk over, but I do think it's going to be a bit of a transition year for the Rams. I think it's finally they're starting to let the young guys play, which honestly I like, even if there's some growing pains, especially on defense with Weddle and Matthews gone. But if it means a year of development with the 2021 season, going to be kind of, I guess, the transition point. I realistically see the Rams, if you want me to throw a record out there.
Yep, that's the next thing before we close out. I'm putting you on the spot there.
I see a repeat of last year, 9-7.
And that would be a good year for a rebuilding year. So if 9-7 is the low point for the Goff and McVay era, that would be something that I think most teams would take.
Absolutely. Even last year, God knows how many one-score games there were. It was a disappointing year after reaching the Super Bowl, but you look at 9-7 and say, ooh, that's bad. I just think about the Jeff Fisher and Steve Spagnuolo days. How, if you hit 8 wins, it's like you just won the Super Bowl. So,
but all right, Joe, I really appreciate you coming on and doing this. Be rooting for your Rams to do, better than they did last year, hopefully. But your division is a gauntlet, so good luck with that.
Thank you.
Again, much appreciate you coming on. Have a good one, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, man. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And last but certainly not least, the Seattle Seahawks, who are a team that is looking to get back into their former glory. And with me right now is a guy that I can say that I was privileged to coach at one point in football and help him out in track, even though he didn't need much help in either of those sports. Amani Richardson, what's going on, my man?
Hey, how's it going, Alex? It's been a long time. Haven't seen you in a very long time.
It has been years, and I'm all the way up in New York now, so there's a good chance it'll be longer. So overall, like I've done with the last few segments talking about, I want to let everybody know that this is mostly fans. A few writers are going to jump in, but this is mostly fans. So, Amani, you don't do any sports writing, TV sports, radio sports stuff, do you?
No, I do not.
So what is your day-to-day 9 to 5 job when the world is actually turning?
When the world is spinning, I'm a substitute teacher in man-hawking.
So would you consider yourself just a kind of an average fan, a diehard fan, but an average fan?
Yeah, definitely an average fan.
So, here at Sports Opinions, we like to keep the fans involved, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So you are our Seattle Seahawks representative.
Go Hawks.
So you, how long have you been a fan for? When did you start liking the Seahawks?
Ooh, I want to say, when did Sean Alexander get out of Alabama?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's a long time. So you were there for the glory days with Alexander and Hasselbeck when they should have won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was there. I was there for a long time. Honestly, I wasn't even an NFL fan at first. I started off watching college football with my father, and I was watching Alabama play, and this running back had this weird mouthpiece that I saw. I was just like, I like it, and I was like, I want that all the time. I want that mouthpiece, so I just followed Sean Alexander to the Seahawks, and I was like, I'm a Seahawks fan now.
That's awesome. It's always nice when you can hook onto one player and then just follow. But it's also nice when you don't just follow players and you stick with a team. I'm always a fan of that too. So we're going to talk some Seahawks free agency first. Okay. The draft just happened, but we're going to pretend that didn't exist real quick. We're going to talk free agency because the Seahawks were a busy team in free agency, whether it was losing guys or gaining guys. So let's talk about some of the key losses first. Marshawn Lynch, obviously, he's gone again.
Yeah.
Jaron Brown was a bigger part than I think people know for that team. Ed Dickerson was a good player. Ziggy Ansah's gone. Quentin Jefferson's gone. Jadeveon Clowney's gone. There's a lot of guys that made exits out of there.
Yeah.
But the Seahawks were busy. They brought in Jaron Reed. He re-signed as a defensive tackle. Greg Olsen came in. Mike Iupati's on the team. Bruce Irvin's coming back. Philip Dorsett signed a 1-year deal. So they were busy. So how did you feel about this offseason? Your head had to be spinning a little bit during free agency. Do you think they did a good job this free agency?
Honestly, I would have preferred they were a little more active. The D-line, we need a little more help. I wish they pursued Everson Griffin just a little bit more because from the beginning they knew they were never signing Jadeveon Clowney again. Mm-hmm. But I mean, overall, I'm happy with it. Philip Darcy, the add to the wide receiver core, that veteran, that was a big pickup. And they when they released the DJ Flunker. I'm sorry. He said forget about the draft.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, but yeah, overall, I'm happy with free agency. Because, I know we lost a lot of pieces, but we brought in a lot of pieces that fit the system that we run on defense, and that was our main problem last year. Our defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, so especially with the Quentin Dunbar. I love that pick because we were weak on one side of corner. Quentin Dunbar is going to be an excellent pickup for us. And it allows Trey Flowers to get back to his original position because in college he was a safety. So they might allow him to be that nickel safety or nickel corner now and let Quentin Dunbar be a starter along with Shaquille Griffin. I'm happy with it.
It'll be nice if Russell Wilson doesn't have to play defense by keeping them off the field anymore. So we're going to jump from free agency. We're going to go to the draft, as you mentioned a little bit there. So the Seahawks had 7 picks. They didn't have a 7th-round pick, but I want to talk first about the 1, 2, and 3 first 3-round picks because those are the guys that you're going to have to get to know because they're definitely on the team, those 3 guys.
Yeah.
So first round, number 27, Jordan Brooks, linebacker out of Texas Tech. 2nd round, pick number 48, Darrell Taylor, outside linebacker, Tennessee. And in the 3rd round, pick number 69, Damian Lewis, guard out of LSU. Which one of those guys kind of jumps off the pages to you that you're looking most forward to seeing?
My favorite, I know he was a 3rd-round pick, but Damian Lewis, I've watched, this college season, I watched him protect
Joe Burrow. Yep.
I watched him protect Burrow, and I was just like, that's a great pick, especially for 3rd round, and how our line was weak, and we also just got rid of DJ Flunker, and our O-line is just weak in general. So I'm looking for him to make an immediate impact. He's definitely going to touch the starting lineup very, very soon. But Jordan Brooks is a nice pickup too. He's kind of a Bobby Wagner style linebacker. He's a speedy guy. He's big, but he's not too your average size linebacker. So I'm excited to watch him too. I'm not too familiar with the DN from Tennessee.
Okay.
So that's the position we need. We just lost our best pass rusher in Clowney, so hopefully he come in and make an impact. I was reading up on him a little bit of speed rusher, so hopefully he can get off the edge.
Yeah, definitely. You guys will definitely need that. But when you're saying about Jordan Brooks, when you compare him to Bobby Wagner, are you telling me that in Madden he's going to jump to being a 99 forever and have 180 tackles and win Defensive Player of the Year every single year if you sim it?
Oh no.
He's ridiculous.
I was just talking about the physical aspect. He's a speedy linebacker, and he's going to be able to shoot some gats and make some plays. That's all I'm looking forward to.
So let's talk about the guys, the day 3 guys, the guys that are going to have to kick and scratch a little more to make the team. You have 2 4th-round picks, so that might go well for them. Being in the 4th round, you're kind of on the bubble. You have a chance, but then you don't. Colby Parkinson, tight end out of Stanford, DJ Dallas, running back out of Miami, both 4th-rounders. In the 5th round, you have Alton Robinson, DN from Syracuse, and Freddie Swain, wide receiver from Florida. Out of those 4 guys, what's a guy that you think has the best chance of making this roster?
I feel like the player with the best chance was the 5th-rounder, Alton Robinson, the DN for Syracuse, because as you know, we lost Clowney, we lost Jefferson. Our D-line is depleted, so he has a chance to come off. I know we brought Bruce Irving back, but we'll see because his production has been going down for a very long time lately. And I feel like the one with the least amount of chance to make it would have to be DJ Dallas, the running back off of Miami, because you know Seattle's run. We have Chris Carson, Rashad Penny. It's like, and we have Travis Homer, the 6th-round pick from last year, and he showed progress, and even in the playoff game last year. So I feel like his chances are very slim. And the tight end, Colby.
Colby Parkinson from Stanford.
Yeah. He may. We lost Ed Dixon. We still got Hollister and Jacoby. Is Will Disley, and we picked up Greg Olsen.
Yeah.
We got Luke Wilson, Jacob Hollister. His chances are looking very slim too. And he's a route running wide receiver. And you know Seattle, we like to run the ball a lot more than pass.
So do you feel like they wasted some picks on the back end there? Was it kind of just best on the board at the moment and let's see what they can do?
That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like they really didn't know what to draft this year. I think it's just like, all right, let's see what happens with these players because like they're the best available.
Hey, you know what? If I'm a Seahawks fan, though, I'm kind of trusting it because you guys have made an absolute living in the Pete Carroll era at finding the diamonds in the rough late in the draft that turn into all pros. So you got to have a little faith there. So jumping right into the schedule, we're going to kind of disregard your division games because those are always important. But at home, you guys play the Cowboys, Giants, Jets, Patriots, Vikings. Away, you play the Redskins, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Falcons. Out of those games, which one of them are you looking most forward to watching?
That's tough. I like the Bills. I like that Bills game. They're up and coming. Their defense is amazing. I feel like they'll give it that's a challenging game for us.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one. What about like the Cowboys or maybe even, I don't even know. The Cowboys and Eagles, I feel like those are always 2 gritty teams. How do you feel about those 2 teams playing them?
I mean, the Eagles, we just beat them in the playoffs at their home stadium, so it's going to be a really gritty game. They're not going to back down. And now Dallas, Ezekiel Elliott, and now you got CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. It's going to be a great one.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one to watch, especially with, you guys are home for the Cowboys, so the 12th man is definitely going to be in effect there. Last but not least, before we close this out, Amani, I'm putting you on the spot. What's your record this year?
It's a tough one. I'll be honest. I'll say 2 divisional losses. I'll say 10-6.
10-6.
10-6.
It's tough for a fan to downplay themselves.
It's tough.
Definitely. So, Amani, thank you so much for coming on. It's Amani Richardson, our resident Seahawks fan. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. I hope your family's doing well, my man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great one.
You too, buddy. Bye. And And that concludes this portion of the NFL Divisional Fan Series, the NFC West. Really hope you enjoyed what we brought here. Leave comments or anything. Subscribe if you were a fan. And look out for the AFC West coming shortly following this one. So everyone, again, thanks for listening. Have a good one.